Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales, The Brothers Grimm, Ferdinand the Faithful. Once on a time lived a man and a woman who so long as they were rich had no children, but when they were poor they had a little boy. They could, however, find no godfather for him, so the man said that he would just go to another place to see if he could find one there. As he went, a poor man met him who asked where he was going. He said he was going to see if he could get a godfather, that he was poor, so no one would stand as godfather for him. "Oh," said the poor man, "you are poor, and I am poor. I will be godfather for you, but I am so ill off I can give the child nothing. Go home and tell the nurse that she is to come to the church with the child." When they got to the church together, the beggar was already there, and he gave the child the name Ferdinand the Faithful. When he was going out of the church, the beggar said, "Now go home. I can give you nothing, and you likewise ought to give me nothing." But he gave a key to the nurse, and told her when she got home she was to give it to the father, who was to take care of it until the child was 14 years old. And then he was to go to the heath, where was a castle which the key would fit, and that all which was inside should belong to him. Now when the child was 7 years old and had grown very big, he once went to play with some of the other boys, and each of them boasted that he had got more from his godfather than the other. But the child could say nothing, and was vexed, and went home and said to his father, "Did I get nothing at all, then, from my godfather?" "Oh, yes," said the father. "You had a key. If there is a castle standing on the heath, just go to it and open it." Then the boy went there, but no castle was to be seen or heard of. After 7 years more, when he was 14 years old, he again went there, and there stood the castle. When he had opened it, there was nothing within but a horse, a white one. Then the boy was so full of joy, because he had a horse, that he mounted on it and galloped back to his father. "Now I have a white horse, I will travel," said he. So he went out, and as he was on his way, a pen was lying in the road. At first he thought he would pick it up, but then again he thought to himself, "You should leave it lying there. You will easily find a pen where you are going if you have need of one." As he was thus riding away, a voice called after him, "Ferdinand the Faithful, take it with you." He looked around, but saw no one. Then he went back again and picked it up. When he had ridden a little way farther, he passed by a lake, and a fish was lying on the bank, gasping and panting for breath. So he said, "Wait, my dear fish, I will help you get into the water." And he took hold of it by the tail and threw it into the lake. Then the fish put its head out of the water and said, "As you have helped me out of the mud, I will give you a flute. When you are in any need, play on it, and I will help you. And if you ever let anything fall in the water, just play, and I will reach it out to you." Then he rode away, and there came to him a man who asked him where he was going. "Oh, to the next place." Then he asked what his name was. "Ferdinand the Faithful." "So, then we almost have the same name. I am called Ferdinand the Unfaithful." And they both set out to the inn, to the nearest place. Now, it was unfortunate that Ferdinand the Unfaithful knew everything that the other had ever thought, and everything he was about to do. He knew it by means of all kinds of wicked arts. There was, however, in the inn, an honest girl who had a bright face and behaved very prettily. She fell in love with Ferdinand the Faithful because he was a handsome man, and she asked him where he was going. "Oh, I am just traveling round about," said he. Then she said he ought to stay there, for the king of that country wanted an attendant or an outrider, and he ought to enter his service. He answered he could not very well go to anyone like that and offer himself. Then said the maiden, "Oh, but I will soon do that for you." And so she went straight to the king and told him that she knew of an excellent servant for him. He was well pleased with that, and had Ferdinand the Faithful brought to him, and wanted to make him his servant. He, however, liked better to be an outrider, for where his horse was, there he also wanted to be. So the king made him an outrider. When Ferdinand the Unfaithful learned that, he said to the girl, "What? Do you help him and not me?" "Oh," said the girl, "I will help you too." She thought, "I must keep friends with that man, for he is not to be trusted." So she went to the king and offered him as a servant, and the king was willing. Now when the king met his lords in the morning, he always lamented and said, "Oh, if I had but my love with me." Ferdinand the Unfaithful was, however, always hostile to Ferdinand the Faithful. So once, when the king was complaining thus, he said, "You have the outrider, send him away to get her, and if he does not do it, his head must be struck off." Then the king sent for Ferdinand the Faithful, and told him that there was in this place or that place a girl he loved, and that he was to bring her to them, and if he did not do it, he should die. Ferdinand the Faithful went into the stable with his white horse, and complained and lamented, "Oh, what an unhappy man I am!" Then someone behind him cried, "Ferdinand the Faithful, why do you weep?" He looked round, but saw no one, and went on lamenting, "Oh, my dear little white horse, now I must leave you. Now must I die." Then someone cried once more, "Ferdinand the Faithful, why do you weep?" Then for the first time he was aware that it was his little white horse who was putting that question. "Do you speak, my little white horse? Can you do that?" And again he said, "I am to go to this place and to that, and am to bring a bride. Can you tell me how I am to set about it?" Then answered the little white horse, "Go to the king, and say, if he will give you what you must have, you will get her for him. If he will give you a ship full of meat and a ship full of bread, it will succeed. Great giants dwell on the lake, and if you take no meat with you for them, they will tear you to pieces. And there are the large birds which would peck the eyes out of your head if you have no bread for them." Then the king made all the butchers in the land kill, and all the bakers bake, and that the ships might be filled. When they were full, the little white horse said to Ferdinand the Faithful, "Now mount me, and go with me to the ship. Then, when the giants come, say, 'Peace, peace, my dear little giants, I have had thought of you, something I have brought for you.' And when the birds come, you shall say, 'Peace, peace, my dear little birds, I have had thought of you, and brought something for you.' Then they will do nothing to you. And when you come to the castle, the giants will help you. Then go up to the castle, and take a couple of giants with you. There the princess lies sleeping. You must, however, not awaken her, but the giants must lift her up and carry her in the bed to the ship." Now everything took place as the little white horse had said, and Ferdinand the Faithful gave the giants and the birds what he had brought for them, and that made the giants willing, and they carried the princess to her bed to the king. And when she came to the king, she said, she could not live. She must have her writings. They had been left in her castle. Then, by the instigation of Ferdinand the Unfaithful, Ferdinand the Faithful was called, and the king told him he must fetch the writings from the castle, or he should die. Then he went once more into the stable, and bemoaned himself, and said, "Oh, my dear little white horse, now I am to go away again. How am I to do it?" Then the little white horse said he was just to load the ships full again. So it happened again as it happened before, and when the giants and the birds were satisfied, and made gentle by the meat, when they came to the castle, the white horse told Ferdinand the Faithful that he must go in, and that on the table in the princess's room lay the writings. And Ferdinand the Faithful went in and fetched them, When they were on the lake, he let his pen fall into the water. Then said the white horse, "Now I cannot help you at all." But he remembered his flute, and began to play it, and the fish came with the pen in its mouth and gave it to him. So he took the writings to the castle where the wedding was celebrated. The queen, however, did not love the king because he had no nose, but she would have very much liked to love Ferdinand the Faithful. Once, therefore, when all the lords of the court were together, the queen said she could do feats of magic, that she could cut off anyone's head and put it on again, and that one of them ought to just try it. But none of them would be the first. So Ferdinand the Faithful, again, at the instigation of Ferdinand the Unfaithful, undertook it, and she hoed off his head, and put it on again for him, and it healed together directly, so that it looked as if he had a red thread around his throat. Then the king said to her, "My child, where have you learned that?" "Yes," she said, "I understand the art. Shall I just try it on you also?" "Oh, yes," said he. But she cut off his head and did not put it on again, but pretended that she could not get it on, and that it would not keep fixed. Then the king was buried, but she married Ferdinand the Faithful. He, however, always rode on his white horse, and once he was seated on it, it told him that he was to go to the heath, which he knew, and gallop 3 times around it. And when he had done that, the white horse stood up on its hind legs, and was changed into a king's son.